Hey guys, what's up? PBM here. Today I'm just going to give you guys a quick rundown of patch 4.15 and everything that you need to know when you play it, whether it's today or if it's in a week or two if you are a console player. So first off, new skins, new adventure, corrupted arena. So basically there's a bundle, you can unlock some skins, play a new game mode, normal fun stuff, blah blah blah. Gameplay, the arena one, increased gold display from 8 to 10, I'm not sure if that's for the event or not, but anyways, you get more gold in arena. And then Conquest, mid-harpies. This is reverting the change that allowed you to clear the first mid-wave with your jungler if you're a mid-laner. If your mid-jungle clears the first wave and then you did mid-harpies, you were hitting level 2, whereas before, throughout the rest of Season 4, you were not. That change has been reverted. You will still be like one creep off of level 2 if you go from mid-wave to mid-harpies. So basically you're going to go back to the kind of standard, if we get pressure, defend or do our own, or if we get pressure, you invade or get your own speed, and you basically aren't contested, and if you lose pressure, you either lose your speed or you can try to defend it, so on and so forth. Vampiric Shroud fixed an issue where Vampiric Shroud would proc multiple times on certain abilities. So for example, Xing 10 has two abilities with his 2 and his 3, his knock up root and then his jump, that have two parts to it, and it would proc Vamp Shroud twice. That will no longer happen. Other abilities that work like that, same sort of deal. Evolved Shaman's Ring fixed an issue where Alquang's Wild Storm would gain the bonus damage early. I'm not quite sure why it was doing that, but whatever, it doesn't do it anymore. Gods, bug fixes, Arachne, I don't know if many of these matter. I think these are just standard bug fixes. I don't know if they're actually buffs or nerf. This one is kind of a nerf, the Cucullin one, because you're losing a little bit of damage, but it wasn't supposed to be in the game apparently, but this is a Cucullin nerf. He gets one less tick, and the ticks do less damage because they're not scaling. Or may not benefit. Oh wait, that's a buff. Okay. Never mind, whatever. Cucullin bug fix. Items, balances. Ickfall is pretty much dead. I'm going to scroll it down to Silver Branch. That's just the magical version of Ickfall. Decrease the attack speed from 30 to 25%, and decrease the physical power and buff and debuff from 10 per stack to 7. So this item did have 30% attack speed and 30 power if you hit all of these. Now it'll have 25% attack speed and 21 power. That's much weaker for 1700 gold. And you also don't have all of that power up front because you have to hit the enemy ADC, or just whoever you're targeting. And of course it does take away some of their power as well. However, with the rest of the changes in the patch, it's very likely that you see a lot less of Ickfall, and that you really don't see it unless it's like a really early game hunter, and even then I'm not sure. I don't know how the other ADC players feel about it, but I would suggest moving towards a different build and not rushing Ickfall every game like you previously were if you were in Hunter. Curse Gauntlet decreased the cost from 1450 to 1400. What this means is if you buy it at the start of the game, you get an extra potion. That's actually a really big buff, especially if you're rushing Devourer's Gauntlet, which has been had, really good English from me, which has had its cost reduced from 2050 to 2000, or 2k if I'm using actual language. Increase physical power from 25 to 30, and then increase the physical power per stack from 0.4 to 0.5, but decrease the stacks by 5. So overall, you lose 5 stacks, but you gain 0.1 power per, 0.1 power extra per stack. So you end up gaining 7 extra power, if that makes sense, from the 70 stacks. So, and then you have the 5 extra from here. So overall, both of these are a buff, and actually, everything is a buff. It's cheaper, you get more power up front, you get more power from the stacks, you'll have more total power at the end of the item, and you need 5 less stacks, so basically a whole wave less to finish stacking it. And then the completed Devourer's Gauntlet stacks, physical power, there you go, from 30 to 35, and then the physical lifesteal from stacks from 15 to 14. Overall, huge buff to Devo Gauntlets. I'm not sure if this is going to be the standard Hunter build. If I had to guess, you probably will rush these most games. 2k is really, really cheap for an item as powerful as Devo Gloves, and also with the nerf to Ickfall, the previous problem was that if one hunter tries to stack Deborah Gauntlets and the other one goes Ickfall, the person who goes Ickfall is just going to dominate you in lane, have a lot more pressure. They'll have rotation priority because they're out clearing you and you have to center the tower, so on and so forth. So that's a little different now. Aussie, decrease the cost from 1750 to 1700, increase physical lifesteal from 15 to 20%. If you guys can't get the theme, hunters are getting buffed out the ass, and I'm not happy about it. I don't really care that much, but anyways, decrease cost from 2850 to 2800, Bloodforge. These are kind of small tweaks because the items haven't been bought that much. A little bit of a quality of life change. Realistically, doesn't really change where Bloodforge is at all, but you get an extra reward when you buy it, or, you know, if you're any role but support, you get an extra, you know, mana pot. I don't frickin' know. Executioner, increase physical power from 30 to 35. I'm actually not sure why they changed this one, because even in the old Hunter builds, Executioner was being built pretty much every game, and it was one of, if not the strongest items that Hunters had, and it does work for a lot of Assassins, and, you know, even if you want to get crazy, you could play, like, Erlang Shen with Ickfall Executioner as a warrior, but anyways, it's not a huge buff, 5 power, but it is still a buff, and it does make Hunters a lot stronger, so it is worth considering. Deathbringer, cost reduction by 200 gold. This is another big deal, especially for crit items. In the past, we've seen crit kind of fall off, and people weren't really building it that much because it was so much more expensive, and in many cases, it's not even more damage, so they're trying to buff Deborah Gauntlet so you get the base power, buff Executioner, same thing, you get the base power, and that also gives you your pen, and then you can buff Aussie, same, or, you know, same sort of deal, basically giving you a lot of easy build paths that go right into life, or go right into crit, and crit and lifesteal together is an insane combo when the stats are good. Poison Star, increased critical strike chance from 15 to 20%. A little bit of buff for Poison Star. This saw a lot of changes at the start of Season 4 for being a little bit too OP, and the price was too low, and has attack speed, and it has crit, and it has power, and it has a unique passive. So, just tweaking the numbers a little bit. This change alone, along with Deathbringer and everything else, you might see a crit meta come back where hunters go like Dovo, Gauntlets, Boots, and then they go Executioner, Poison Star, Titan's Bane, and Deathbringer, something like that. I'm not quite sure yet, but it seems to be that is the direction that Hi-Rez wants to push these hunters in, so it'll be interesting. Titan's Bane and Obsidian Shard, pretty much the same change. They just get their cost reduced by 150. I really don't like this change because I already felt that these items were already more damage efficient and gave you more pen and more stats than items like, for Obsidian Shard, items like Spear of the Magus, or for Titan's Bane, items like, I don't want to say Brawlers because that has an anti-heal, so maybe like Crusher or Jotuns. It already gave more damage than those items in most cases, and now it's going to be cheaper than them as well, which just means that tanks are going to feel a lot squishier earlier in the game, even if it doesn't look like that much, only 150 gold. All these changes together are going to add up, and people are going to get into their build paths quicker. You might see scenarios now where, because these items are so cheap, mages are going like third item Obsidian Shard. So for example, that's not that uncommon, but for example, the previous build would be like, you could do Book of Thoth Rush, and you could get like rank 2 of that out of base, then you would get Swiftwing, then you would finish your book, then you would go Boots, then Deso, then Ob Shard, then Rod of Tahuti. That build may now evolve into just skipping the Spear of Desolation, and you just go Obsidian Shard straight into Rod. It's going to be super cheap, and then you just power spike really quickly. I'm not quite sure, but either way, nerf to tank, buff to pretty much every physical character and every mage. Also, actually, another thing I want to touch on with the Titan's Bane, this will make warrior junglers a lot stronger in my opinion, because they don't have to invest as much gold into damage. Normally you want to build kind of this bruiser role, but if you're building like that, normally the only pen you need is percentage pen from Titan's Bane, which means that those warrior junglers are going to get this item quicker, and it's going to be a lot more effective for them, so that's kind of scary. Stone of Gaea. This item is pretty much dead compared to what it used to do. So it used to give you immunity to these knockups, knockbacks, pull, grab, everything like that, and then you would gain CC immunity for a second. So for example, you get Sobek plucked, right? The Sobek will pluck you, he'll stun you, but then you'll go immune for the toss back, so he can't toss you back. and then you're completely safe. Same thing, like a Sylvanas pulls you, you'll immune the pull. A Khepri tries to use his 1 on you, you immune it. Ares ults you, you immune it. Fenrir ults you, you immune it. A Tyr fearlesses you, and you immune it. So, the whole point is that it stopped all of these characters from having their kit be able to function. Xing Ten, another one, as it lists here. And it kind of just prohibited characters from coming into the meta, not because of whether they're good or they're bad, but they just don't get played because this item existed, and it was just countering them so hard. It gave so much health, it was only 2,000 gold, it was super cheap, and it did so many other things. So now, the new passive is basically useless. This is a pure sustain item, and it still retains the ability to regenerate 2% of your maximum health, blah blah blah. And then if any of these are met, you gain 2% of your maximum health over the next 10 seconds, so 1% of your health per second. Pretty much irrelevant. I don't really see many scenarios where you buy this item over just having more tankiness or just having more damage. So pretty much this item's dead. Characters that got countered by this item are going to see a lot more play, and I think that's a great thing for the game. Moving down, Shifter's Shield. Remove plus 15 magical protections. Update the item description to clarify that it gives 35 of both magical and physical. Just tuning Shifters down a little bit. I think it'll still be bought mainly on warrior junglers. It's just a lot of base power, and the tankiness is still pretty good. It's not insane stats, but it's just a really flexible item, and it fits the warriors in the jungle role very, very well. Gladiator Shield. Decreased physical protections from 45 to 35. So this is another one of those 1700 item or 1700 gold items that were really strong along with Ichval, and they've nerfed both of them this patch. I think that the Gladiator Shield isn't as significant as the Ichval in terms of how hard they got nerfed, because into the mid and late game, Gladiator Shield is still very effective. You can regenerate, 200, 300, 400 health throughout a team fight if you're a warrior. If you're like a Wukong or you're a Vamana and you're just spamming your abilities off cooldown, and especially if you're hitting multiple people with those abilities, you just generate so much health throughout the course of a team fight that I think Gladiator Shield will still be bought. I think the main point of this nerf is that if you're either a warrior jungler and you rush this item, you're going to be a lot easier to kill, which again is a good thing, because if you're a jungler, it's bad if you kind of can't get punished, or you just get to press W all game, so on and so forth. And if you're a soul laner, you're a lot easier for assassins to gank, you're a lot easier for your own lane opponent to kind of outbox you or try to go for kills, so it'll open up some aggressive lanes, maybe something like. And also with the Stone of Gaea nerf, people would previously try to play things such as Fenrir to try to kill other warriors. Maybe stuff like that comes back. You don't really know. Small tweak, but the item is definitely not dead by any means. Heartseeker, decrease the cost from 24 to 2300, increase the physical power from 25 to 30. I think this will see a lot more play, especially because of the change to Titan's Bane. Heartseeker is really good along with Titans because all that flat pen and everything just gives you basically a ton of raw damage from the Titans, and then Heartseeker does all of the rest. It gives you all the power and the bonus scaling from the passive, it gives you movement speed, it gives you flat pen, it gives you power, so your build gets rounded out very nicely. You could maybe see junglers go something like Boots and then rush Brawlers or Jotuns depending on the character they're playing, and if the enemy team has anti-heal, and then your third item you just get Heartseeker, then you get Titan's Bane. You'll do a ton of damage, and you have extra movement speed, you have good flat pen, you have all this other stuff. So Heartseeker will probably come back in my opinion. I don't know if we'll see it on every god like we did at the start of Season 4, but that's yet to be seen. Gods Balance RTO, this is a big one everyone's been complaining about, that her release was a bit too strong. So Energy Surge / Mob Prey, this is her number 1 ability. Cooldown increased by 2 seconds, this is a really good change. Lowers her kind of ability to spam all of her buttons on people and just outdamage them and out-sustain them and so on, and it reduces how strong she is with CDR just a little bit, because all of her abilities won't be up every 4 seconds, but anyways, there's that. Entangling Vines, Ferocious Roar, this is her 2, so her cripple and her stun will now only go on cooldown once the duration finishes, rather than immediately. This means you can't have near 100% uptime. If you had full CDR, and this ability had 5 points in it, you would only have like a second of downtime where they aren't crippled, which is really, really insane. And then decrease the Ferocious Roar protection buff from 10 to 50 to 10 to 30. So overall, I think these are good tweaks to RDO. I think the 1 is more significant, and the 2 cooldown is nice. I don't know how much that actually hurts her, but overall, I think she's still a cool character. She's still a strong character, and I am pretty excited to play her in ranked and scrims and whatever else. Camazotz, Bat Out of Hell, decrease the damage per swoop from 140 to 300 to 120 to 300. So late game, you're still doing 900 damage if you hit all three swoops. Early game, you go from, what is this? This is 420 damage, all the way down to 360 damage, so a 60 damage nerf. That's actually a really big deal in the early game, and this will probably tweak Camazotz just a little bit in terms of how much he's picked. I think he'll still be picked a lot. He's definitely not bad, but there it is. Freya, this god was freaking busted in 4.14. She got so buffed so many ways, like everything about her items, her abilities, her kit, like everything got buffed. So they're reverting a little bit of that. Decrease the basic attack speed from 1 to 0.95, so you know, 0.05 less attack speed per level over the course of the game. Doesn't make too big a difference, but if it results in like 1 less pulse shot or whatever, I'm not quite sure, but it'll be a huge nerf. And then anyways, decrease the damage of pulse from 30 to 70 to 25 to 65. This is mainly an early game adjustment because her clear was a little bit too good. Overall, I still think Freya is going to be pretty damn good, especially because all of her items got buffed, but this kind of tunes her down a little bit because she was way overperforming, according to what they said on the patch notes show. I think Pon had said that she went from, like, one of the bottom, like, 10 gods in the game in casual win rate and everything, up to, like, top 5, like, in that one patch, so they're just trying to revert that a little bit. Rama, decrease the bonus damage from Astral Strike from 15 to 55 to 10 to 50. This is a huge damage, damage decrease. Anyone who plays duo lane will understand, excuse me, will understand that Rama has the best clear of any hunter, pretty much except Izanami, and then even then it's pretty close. But Rama would be able to start waves and pretty much just one-shot it if their support could hit all 6 creeps with their ability or just do whatever. And he could nearly just one-shot it if he just threw all of his astral arrows into it at once. So now he does, what is that, 25 less damage with his astral arrows to each creep, which means now instead of those creeps dying, you're going to have to auto-attack each of those creeps an additional time. And I'm stuttering because I'm an idiot. But anyways, you guys get the point. It'll take him a lot longer to clear. It'll feel a lot better to play against him in the duo lane. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's the end of the patch notes. Overall, a few minor tweaks to gods. I don't think any of them are that insane. The main thing about this patch is definitely the items. Heartseeker is going to be coming back. We might see Crit come back. Ickfall is probably dead. Deborah Gauntlets are definitely going to come back. Stone of Gaea is dead. And if you are a tank player, if you are a solo or a support player like me, get ready to be absolutely shredded because all of these damage buffs are going to lead to you dying a lot. So, have fun with that. Peace out, everybody. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.